and welcome to the Wednesday News Bulletin that gives you a closer look at issues affecting our daily lives, served with the extra touch of fine detail. Tonight, President Tinubu's message to the United Nations General Assembly and Africa's standpoint on the way forward in achieving a world running on even keel. On petroleum, refineries getting the short in the arm as they need to refill the nation. Drive gets endorsement from different political blocs. On education, science laboratories as platforms for research-minded students. But are they still there? Are the buzz burners still burning? On welfare, there is a compelling story of a family in Katsina who have found their own El Dorado. There will also be the usual lineup of stories on the economy, agriculture, health and sports, and of course, politics, where there are interesting developments and different stories in Kano and Bauchi. Join us for the next 90 minutes. After all, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I am Elizabeth Omori, and this is News Extra. We begin with activities at the United Nations General Assembly. President Bola Tinubu was a resounding voice as he joined world leaders in search of common solutions to challenges confronting the world at the United Nations General Assembly high-level debate in New York. President Tinubu emphatically called for sincerity of purpose from member nations as he reaffirmed Nigeria's and Africa's readiness to contribute in healing the world. State House correspondent Musbautan Wahab reports.
A quiet Tuesday morning in parts of New York City. But from this building were voices to the world, voices towards unity of purpose to improve the global system and for its inhabitants.
That freedom will finally prevail.
We need to bring the same commitment and urgency and ambition as we work together to meet the Sustainable Development Goals of 2030.
The solutions are peculiar as they come, and so too is this new, yet assertive voice.
On behalf of the people of Nigeria,
President Tinubu lends his voice against man's inhumanity to man and to the environment, leading to adverse effects from the universe manifesting in climate change. But while reaffirming the commitment of Nigeria and indeed Africa towards finding solutions to global challenges, Tinubu calls for sincerity of purpose in the crackdown on terror financing, economic sabotage, illicit mining and arms smuggling in the developing world.
many proclamations have been made, yet our troubles remain close at hand. Failures in good governance have hindered Africa, but broken promises, unfair treatment, and outright exploitation from abroad have also exerted a heavy toll on our ability to progress. We are not asking for identical programs and actions. What we seek is an equal, firm commitment to partnership.
ECOWAS, under his chairmanship, has been up against unconstitutional takeover of governments in West Africa and on the continent. The Nigerian leader wants global support against political instability in Africa.
African nation will improve our economies so that our people do not risk their life to sweep the floors and streets of other nations. We also shall devote ourselves to disbanding extremist groups on our turf.
However, President Tinubu invites the world for a genuine business in Nigeria as he says efforts are on in policies to ensure a more conducive environment for businesses.
Welcome partnership with those who not mind seeing Nigeria and Africa assume larger roles in the global community. The question is not whether Nigeria is open for business. The question is how much of the world is truly open to doing business with Nigeria, and how African is an equal, mutually beneficial manner.
Other African leaders also speak on equity and fairness in matters concerning the continent.
The people of our continent are once again bearing the cost of industrialization of the North and the development of the wealthy nations of the world. This is a price that the people of Africa are no longer prepared to pay.
In New York, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu's speech at the United Nations General Assembly has continued to generate reactions. State House correspondent Musbao Dan Wahab is here to give us some reactions from New York. Musbao.
Yes, it was indeed the first time, the first appearance of President Bola Tinubu on this stage, but yet he has been able to take the world by the storm with his presentation on the floor of a United Nations General Assembly on Tuesday. And we've been speaking to some dignitaries on the delegation of Nigeria, and here are some of their reactions.
Given his first showing, he demonstrated that Nigerians have actually chosen well to be our president at this point in time. He was not only defining what the role Nigeria will play, will continue to play, but was also putting Africa on the world map, expressing that even, with global challenges, that the entire world, needs to be able to listen, and watch, the opportunities that are bound in Africa. Africa has been the whipping boy, right? Africa has not been fairly treated. Africa has been the one that we believe, is the untapped, future resource of the entire world. And he was able to put that forward.
The most important part about the speech was, I think, he was introducing himself to the international community, the wider audience. You don't have a bigger stage than in front of the United Nations, where over 200 countries are represented, and you tell them, you're now in charge of a country, the largest black country in the world, and this is your agenda, this is your focus, and you're telling them that, Nigeria is here and we're ready to play a big role in the international community.
Indeed, President Bola Tinubu has been able to announce himself on the global stage like he has done in the sub-region and on the continent of Africa. And not just him, other African leaders who spoke to the General Assembly also spoke to the rights of African countries. And so people are saying African countries seem to have come of age, asking for their rightful place among the Committee of Nations.
Thank you, Musbao. Now, the race to protect the planet has just been accelerated after world leaders, business giants and experts gathered in New York for the Climate Ambition Summit. For President Bola Tinubu, it is about building a political consensus that highlights remedial action for the Great Renewal project. Charles Alpha brings us details.
Extreme weather events are displacing millions of people. The world is heating up. Wildfires continue to cause death and destruction. Coal, oil and gas still account for 75% of global greenhouse emissions, which continue to fuel the climate crisis. While the damage from the climate crisis is already extensive and global greenhouse gas emissions remain at record levels, the world is on a quest to keep global temperature down to within 1.5 degrees. Is that change possible? For President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the global fight against the effects of climate change cannot be based on a one-size-fits-all approach.
African nations will fight climate change, but must do so on fair and just terms. To achieve the need popular consensus, this campaign must accord with overall economic efforts.
He said nations must be cooperated within the design and implementation of their own strategies, which are tailored to their respective socio-economic strength and weakness.
In Nigeria, we shall build political consensus by highlighting remedial actions which also promote economic good. Projects such as green wall to stop desert encroachment, halting the destruction of our forests by mass production and distribution of gas burning stoves.
President Tinubu says such efforts regarding climate change will register important victories only if established economies were more forthcoming. Leaders here are resolute to accelerate action on climate change, and for the Nigerian president, it is no going back on the global fight to restore the ailing earth. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Still on global response to climate change, now when a house is on fire, reactions differ while trying to contain the fire. Of course, occupants and passerby are swift to respond. But how do we manage to be at ease when planet Earth is actually on fire? This, experts say, is the frightening reality as human activity accelerates air and water pollution, as well as degrade the environment and biodiversity. Zainab Adam in Maiduguri reports that the ripple effects of climate change are being felt by men and women across Nigeria differently.
45-year-old Babagana Usman is a blacksmith who uses charcoal sourced from felled trees to melt down metals and craft out different types of farming implements and house decoration materials. Although Babagana seems to be aware of the dangers of climate change, the charcoal he uses, which is obtained from trees, is his only option. This raises questions on deforestation, especially among the busy wood carvers around him. For ages, human activities have been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil and gas, as well as deforestation.
The charcoal we use does not emit smoke, and it can only be used by blacksmiths.
Similarly, these wood carvers that abound across the markets in Borno State have different stories to share, which always prompts a conclusion that they are either cutting down trees for survival or they are unaware of the challenges of climate change around the globe.
The trees we use are not the ones that are beneficial for human beings.
Government
support us with seedlings to replant trees every year to avoid deforestation.
Industrial vehicular emissions coming from all regions of the world have remained serious triggers of climate change, which affect everyone without distinction, even though some countries produce much more than others, resulting in varying consequences such as drought, water scarcity, severe bushfires, rising sea levels, flooding, melting polar ice, among others.
In the north, as you can see, we are always being described as a desert area or Sahel area where plant population is very low, meaning every cutting of the tree it has its own negative consequences on the entire ecosystem of the state.
These herbaceous biomass are grasses that grow year in, year out. They are virtually renewable every year. So what we are trying to do is harvest them and see how we can decarbonize them and convert them into briquette. So instead of felling trees for fuel wood, we can use these briquettes for fuel use. That will also reduce the large dependence on our forest resources, which will, at the end of the day, contribute to environmental friendliness.
In addition to mass tree planting campaigns, Borno State government, alongside some development partners, have also introduced the production and use of the charcoal briquette through the use of fecal sludge as an alternative source of clean energy and waste management.
Waste to wealth conversion. I hope you understand. Then this charcoal production is smoke-free product.
Apart from supporting government initiatives to mitigate climate change, you and I have a responsibility in reducing the emissions of greenhouse gases. In Maiduguri, Zainab Adam, NTA News.
Of course we do. Now to oil and gas, the governor of Delta State has commended the federal government for embarking on refurbishment of refineries as it sues for more refineries to be built in the country to strengthen the country's economy. He expressed these thoughts when he played host to the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas NUPENG executives in his office. Tessa Koka reports.
The main responsibility of the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas is to promote and defend the socio-economic and political interests of oil and gas workers in Nigeria. The governor of Delta State, Sheriff Oborori, is having them as his August visitor in the month of September. The governor is happy with the plans of the federal government to bring back the glory days of refineries in the country by assuring Nigerians of the Port Harcourt refineries readiness in December. The governor, however, solicits more to be built across the country to enable a stronger economy.
For years, our refineries have been down. If we are producing, we won't have any challenge. It's a very serious issue. I congratulate NUPENG for their years of struggle for a more efficient, profitable, and people-friendly oil and gas sector.
The executive members of NUPENG are here to congratulate Governor Oborori on his victory at the polls, support him in building a stronger economy, and called on him to support the federal government in the reconstruction of failed portions of roads.
We will appeal to you, Excellency, that you continue to create the enabling environment, for investors, to troop into the state and help us develop the state.
If the relationship between the states and the federal government is anything to go by, then Nigerians are in for better days. In Asaba, Tessie Koka, NTA News.
To education, upscaling of Nigeria's education curricula, fostering of qualitative research to inform policy formulation, and the enhancement of quality and accessible education in the country are just a few of the benefits of the Memorandum of Understanding signed between Nigeria and some partners, the Princeton University, USA, and the African School of Economics in Princeton, United States. Cecil Egbele reports from New Jersey, where the signing took place.
Before signing the dotted line, Nigeria's Minister of Education, Tahiru Maman, who expressed confidence in the current administration's plans to increase Nigeria's educational allocation from 5% to 25% of the national budget, says the coming years will witness a series of well-thought-out projects for the education sector. These, he says, will include developing and equipping research and data centers nationwide, review of current education curricula, upscaling of out-of-school individuals at the African School of Economic campuses, and the development of performance indicators and outcomes for monitoring at all levels of education in the country.
Now, we would agree that these projects have been assembled to address the multiple facets of the education system and indeed social and economic problems amongst the youth.
Vice Provost for International Affairs and Operations, Princeton University, Ali Kassam Ramtula, expressed the institution's commitment to the partnership while recognizing its immense potential for Nigeria. Selling the collaboration between partners ended the formalities, but it opens a new chapter for institutions of higher learning in Nigeria. Midwifing this partnership is the African Union Development Agency, New Partnership for Africa's Development, Nepal.
So looking at what we've done in Nepal, and that's why we're approaching that facilitating this would be a very good boost to his great vision.
The staff exchanges will be one of them, but we are also going to set up training centers in Nigeria, for out-of-school children.
Research. We want to provide technical advice, technical expertise to government at the state, local, and federal level.
The execution of this agreement takes immediate effect from Princeton University, New Jersey, to Cecil Egbele, NTA News.
Into one of the trending stories of the day, the governorship election petition tribunal sitting in Kano has nullified the election of Abba Kabir Yusuf of NNPP as governor and declared Nasir Yusuf Gawuna of APC winner. Chairman of the tribunal, Justice Oluyemi Osadebe, who delivered the judgment, described the election of Abba as invalid. Awal Salisu brings us details.
APC filed a petition challenging the declaration of Abba Kabir Yusuf as the winner of the governorship election conducted on 18th March 2023. In a 5-volume petition, the petitioner is praying for the tribunal to declare that Abba Kabir Yusuf is not qualified to contest the election and that his name was not in the membership register NNPP sent to INEC. The petitioner also based its petition on overvoting and non-accreditation of voters in some polling units. Chairman of the tribunal, Justice Oluyemi Osadebe, said, having not in the party's register sent to INEC, Abba is not qualified to contest the election. Justice Osadebe further said, in the case where the margin lead is less than the total number of votes cancelled, INEC should declare the result inconclusive, citing reference to Section 135 of the Electoral Act 2022.
Section 177 said that for somebody to participate in an election, he must be a member of a political party and he must be sponsored by that political party.
This is a decision of the court. We will look at it, as I said, and we will do the necessary things by filing the appeal immediately.
So we are escalating the patrol right now and to ensure that safety of lives and property prevail in the state.
Osadebe further declared that INEC should withdraw the certificate of return from Abba Kabir and issued new one to Nasir Yusuf Gawuna as the governor of Kano State. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Kano State government has imposed a 24-hour curfew as a measure to maintain law and order following the nullification of the election of Abba Kabir Yusuf of NNPP as governor by the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal in Kano. The Commissioner of Police, Mohammed Hussein Gumel, announced the measure this evening.
Going forward, Kano State residents are called upon to note that combined security forces have already been dispatched to the nooks and crannies, including the entry and exits of the state, to ensure enforcement and strict compliance of the 24 hours curfew order as communicated by the Kano State government.
And the New Nigeria People's Party has described the judgment of the Kano State Election Tribunal, which sacked Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf, as a miscarriage of justice. Acting National Chairman of the party, Abba Kaw Ali, in a statement expressed dissatisfaction over what it described as an unjust subtraction of 165,663 votes from the party's result to the APC by the tribunal. The acting chairman said the party will not accept the judgment and vowed to appeal the verdict. He urges all supporters of the party and the people of the state to remain law-abiding. In the same vein, the national chairman of the governing All Progressives Congress APC, Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, has described the judiciary as the last hope of the people. He spoke on the outcome of the Kano State Governorship Election Tribunal judgment that declared Nasir Yusuf Gawuna of the APC winner of the March 11 governorship election. Political correspondent Abubakar Akwanga reports.
It was a judgment that gives life to the small family of Kano APC at the residence of its national chairman and puts smiles on the faces of APC stalwarts in Abuja. The national chairman of the governing party, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, says the judiciary has restored hope of the majority and vindicated APC from manipulations of the opposition NNPP.
If we come in, inshallah, and our able governor, Dr. Nasir Yusuf Gawuna, an atmosphere that business will flourish in Kano. We thank everybody. We thank Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for creating an enabling environment for judiciary to flourish in Nigeria.
The man in the eyes of the lens, Nasir Yusuf Gawuna, appreciates the party leadership and the people of Kano for believing in their mandate, promising a prosperous future ahead.
Alhamdulillah, we have to thank the judiciary for being fair. But we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that has done it. He is the one that have done it for us before, and he is the one that has done it now. And inshallah he will do it for us in the coming time. We pray that Allah will give us the health and life to be able to deliver to the people on the right path.
Governor Kabir Abba of the New Nigerian People's Party was earlier sacked by the tribunal sitting in Kano for not able to defend the petition filed by the All Progressives Congress challenging his March 11, 2023 victory. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
And joining me live in the studio to discuss some of the issues raised in some of the reports is a public affairs analyst, Dr. Mainasara Umar Kogo. Dr. Mainasara, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you very much. It's my honor to be here today.
Thank you. All right, the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal in Kano nullified the election of Abba Kabir Yusuf of NNPP as governor of Kano State. What is your take?
Well, it's a portrayal of the unwavering commitment of the judiciary to partake in enriching democratic tenets. And everybody is a winner in this respect because courts are assisting to really establish, you understand, the sincerity of purpose with which our democratic power play is being played with. At the end, it is for the benefit of the common man under Section 14, subsection 1 of the Constitution. And we are trying to evolve a culture under sections 21, 23, and 24, whereby everybody should really practice by the rules of the game. And when you look at sections 221 to 226 of the Constitution, political parties are the candidates. Party member is only a flag bearer. So where you are not a member of the party, it is natural that you will be denied the fortune of that particular political party. That is one of the things. And then the second thing discovered by the tribunal is the issue of illegal votes, whereby it is established that some votes were manufactured, and it is naturally the responsibility of the judiciary to look into the grievances of the petitioners under the provision of Section 36 of the Constitution and then do the needful. And the losers of this particular judgment too, I think they need to be commended for really dancing to the tune of the whims and caprices of their citizenry. They have their windows under the law of the land, under sections 230 to 304, to go on appeal and then extend their grievances at the level of the court that is higher than this one if they are not satisfied. So by and large, it is the determination of all and sundry to enrich the quality of the democratic power play we are witnessing in the country. Kano, if you look at it very well, historically speaking, right before independence, it has been the pace setter regarding the evolution of democratic tenets in the northern part of the country and Nigeria as a whole. And as such, it is expected that where you see Kano politics being corrected by the judiciary, then you should applaud the judiciary for really coming on board to see to the enrichment of the quality of democracy.
All right, Dr. Mainasara, a 24-hour curfew has been declared in the state, even as the NNPP vows to appeal the judgment. The situation seems to have generated into a public disorder, warranting the 24-hour curfew. Now, this is democracy.
Yes.
This shouldn't be happening. What should be the way out of this?
It is democracy, but under sections 224 to 214 to 216, the police have the power and the responsibility to ensure peace and stability within the nation. And under section 216 to 218, if the police are unable to do it, they can even request for the assistance of other law enforcement agents. You may remember very well, in a matter of few days ago, one of the former commissioners of His Excellency Abba Kabir Yusuf, the governor of Kano State, made some public outbursts, some utterances that are very, very negative, that are really germane to what will be the outcome of the election petition tribunal's judgment. He really made a lot of threatening, very negative, damaging statements, as a result of which the governor even immediately summarily dismissed him from his executive council, from his cabinet as his commissioner. And that was quite commendable on the side of the governor. Now, police should not allow any possibility of any loophole, because every politician you see has a large team of followership. So we don't want a situation whereby we will be taken by chances for the threat made by the ex-commissioner to come into fruition. It is better, therefore, in line with that, that a stitch in time saves 9. I really commend the Commissioner of Police in Kano State for taking this proactive decision to really checkmate the possibility of eruption of any breach of law and order. That is quite commendable, and that is civilized, and it is very, very good. It is better to be proactive rather than to allow situation to degenerate, and then we begin to think of remedial measures.
All right, Dr. Mainasara, I want to appreciate your thoughts on the judgment, but let me take you back to some of our reports on the President's address at the United Nations General Assembly. President Tinubu touched on a number of issues, including the impact of climate change as a result of human activities, which he actually called on the global community to assist ECOWAS in addressing some of the issues, as well as the issue of coup d'etat in Niger. What would be your assessment of his speech?
It is the global consensus, really, that all over the world, nobody should tolerate unconstitutional method of coming into power. That is what. And secondly, if you look at it from the background, the fundamentals, President Tinubu really spoke as a statesman of African standing. He talked as a pan-African leader, whereby he said in his position as a president of Nigeria, as chairman of ECOWAS, and one of the leading leaders in African continent, he spoke regarding the matters that affect the entirety of the African continent. That is what is expected of a leader from the African continent, especially Nigeria, which is the most populous country in the black world and leader in the African country. So President Tinubu really touched all the areas. The issue of insecurity, the issue of proliferation of arms and ammunition, the matter of climate change, on the matter of plundering of our own resources, and on the matter of showing that Africa is really independent as far as we are concerned. We have our own sovereignty to protect, as a result of which whosoever wants to come and exploit from our resources, whether it's human or economic resources, he should come under free, genuine, and sincere understanding, whereby it will be for mutual benefits. He really talked on the issue of debt forgiveness, the issue of us to consider forgiveness of debts. If we want to talk about matters of economic discourse at the bilateral or multilateral level on equilibrium basis. Tinubu also went ahead and talked about the matters that are affecting the country regarding the immigrants, the migrants that are going into Europe for the purpose of looking for greener pastures.
All right, Dr.
That the inequity in the way we are being handled in the world are the basis upon which so things are happening, and he called for redress by the superpower nations in the world.
I want to thank you so much for your thoughts on the issues before us. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
It's always my honor to be here to contribute in nation building. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, the governorship election petition tribunal sitting in Bauchi dismisses petition by the APC gubernatorial candidates Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar for the lack of merit and upholds election of Governor Bala Mohammed. Awal Abdullahi reports.
The Bauchi State APC gubernatorial candidate Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar has filed his case challenging the election credibility of Governor Bala Mohammed of the PDP. The allegation of overvoting and other election malpractice were submitted where the concern by the panel of 3 justices. In its judgment, the tribunal said it has carefully observed all the submissions filed by all the parties involved, saying that the governorship election held in Bauchi State on the 18th of March 2023 was conducted in compliance with the Electoral Act. Chairman of the tribunal in his judgment said the petitioner has failed to prove and convince the tribunal beyond reasonable doubt on the alleged issues of irregularities and therefore dismissed the petition for lack of merit.
This is a very, very well thought out judgment, And you see the reasons are very, very clear. Even during the trial, you saw they were not able to call witnesses. So all the allegations, there were no witnesses to back them up.
We must have to fight to ensure justice in the electoral system in Nigeria, and we must have to fight to emancipate the people of Bauchi.
Governor Bala Mohammed, in a broadcast shortly after the verdict, described the judgment as an affirmation of the mandate given to him by the people of Bauchi State and restated commitment toward provision of purposeful leadership.
Now that the tribunal has ruled, it is my candid opinion that it is time to set aside whatever misgivings that we may have and move on. The task ahead of us is enormous, requiring unity of purpose, a pooling together of resources, integration of talents, and leveraging the unique attributes of each of the contestants, and we seek to create a better society for our people.
In Bauchi, Awal Abdullahi, NTA News.
You're watching News Extra on NTA. Time to take a breather. More reports ahead. To stay with us. Thanks for staying with the NTA. 3 months after the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly, the fate of some members are still hanging in the balance. No thanks to the avalanche of court judgments from various election tribunals across the country. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Unquo takes a look at the process of election petition as provided in the 2022 Electoral Act.
Periodic elections, a significant feature of democracy, remains a major source of legitimacy for elected officials. Unfortunately, it is not without some setbacks. The study of electoral processes in time and space shows that the process is characterized by a number of unintended circumstances. That is why laws guiding elections usually go hand in hand with provisions for the expression of grievances arising from the ballot.
The proof of electoral petitions by a petitioner is on the preponderance of evidence. That means you have to shift the burden of the proof of your case to the respondent. Why you fail and or neglect to shift the burden of proof by way of balance of probabilities or preponderance of evidence to the respondent, you will woefully fail in adjudication of your case.
Section 130, subsection 3 of the Act provides that election tribunals shall be constituted not later than 30 days before elections, and when constituted shall open their registries 7 days before the election. The presidential election petition travels from Court of Appeal to Supreme Court. That of governorship moves from tribunal through the Appeal and Supreme Court, while that of the National and State Assembly terminates at the Appeal Court.
On the National Assembly matters, of course, the ruling of the tribunal is not the final position of the law. They still have, the aggrieved parties still have that right to appeal to a Court of Appeal. Likewise, that of the governorship and the presidential election also gets to the Supreme Court. So that the tribunal have ruled against or in favor of one now does not mean that the litigation has ended.
The Constitution did not in any way say that once a judgment is given, the implementation should be instantaneous. In other words, what the Constitution provides is room for appeals. And that is provided under sections 230 to 304 of the Constitution. And then when one is going on appeal, it is expected that under section 36 of the Constitution, you have not been declared guilty until you have really exhausted all the avenues of appeals.
In Nigeria, while Part 4 of the Electoral Act 2022 provides for the electoral procedures, Part 8 deals with the determination of petitions arising from the process. Ignatius Unquo, NTA News.
Now, what would be your reaction if your fundamental human rights are infringed upon? In a modern society, the role of the fist is alien in the law. In spite of the provisions of the law protecting these rights, some people are being reported to use the force of arms or position to cheat others, despite the existence of the concept that might is not always right. In this report, Olabode Arewa examines the rule of law in Nigeria as a tool for instilling good governance and justice for both the leaders and the led.
Looks like a scene from a movie, but this is no film set. It is one of the many incidents when street gangs in communities across the country disrupt the peace, causing unrest, thereby infringing on the rule of law. From time to time, the media space in Nigeria gets awash with stories of such disturbances, described by law enforcement agencies as threats to democratic norms and good governance.
If you look at our country today and you want to do a quick crime map of Nigeria, you'll discover that virtually every geopolitical zone is challenged by acts of criminality.
It is not in dispute that the supreme law guiding the lifestyle of all Nigerians is the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As such, its tenets and that of subsidiary laws are expected to regulate public and private behavior, which experts in societal studies say makes those who flout the laws of a country to be liable to sanctions and denial of the advantages enjoyed by other citizens.
If the government should govern by the law, what is provided in our constitution and our statutes, adhere strictly to them, then there will be peace. And on the side of the citizenry, if we adhere to the rule of law, what the law provides for, then we will equally have peace. The level of impunity in Nigeria is unprecedented.
In 2021, the International Rule of Law Index purportedly ranked Nigeria as 121 out of 139 countries on the scale of its obedience to the rule of law. Civil society organizations have traced this to deliberate alleged infractions by those they described as people who misuse positions of privilege or force to achieve their aims. By 2022, however, Nigeria moved up 3 steps on the same index, attributed to deliberate actions by stakeholders in the justice and law enforcement sectors to walk the talk. As proof of Nigeria's readiness to adopt progressive habits used by developed countries to sustain their society, legal experts advocate accountability, openness, and impartiality as necessary tools to stabilize the ship of the Nigerian states. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
It's important you know your rights and uphold the rule of law. Thank you, Olabode, for that report. Now, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Simon Bakola Long, says the federal government is committed to addressing all issues raised by labour unions on the removal of fuel subsidy. The minister stated this after meeting Vice President Kashim Shettima on the planned indefinite strike by labour unions.
Of the Vice President, as part of our continuation with dialogue with the Nigerian Labour Congress on so many issues that we discussed and also follow up. Mr. President is not around and the Vice President is around. So many of the issues will also continue with the Vice President so that there will be smooth, harmonious relationship with the Labour. For me, I don't think there's any problem. We are moving very fine with them, with the Nigerian Labour. And you know, the posture of the President too is towards good welfare for the Labour in Nigeria. So we have no doubt. That's why many of the meetings we had with them, we are not ending up boxing ourselves. We are smiling, all of us, with hope that the best is going to come.
The government appreciates the genuine grievances of the organized labour and is ready to address them. to transportation, in line with the determination of the federal government to enhance infrastructure development across the country, a Chinese company has committed to the completion of the Abuja light rail project in 8 months. Vice President Kashim Shettima extracted this commitment from the management of the company on a courtesy visit at the presidential villa. Vice President Shettima described the company as part of Nigeria's history, saying it has played a pivotal role in developing Nigeria's landmark projects, adding that their commitment to the development of Nigeria and Africa is commendable. He assured them that the present administration will sustain the existing relationship with the company and the people of China, saying the Abuja rail project, like others, remains dear to President Bola Tinubu and the Nigerian people. Managing Director of the Chinese company, David Wing, reiterated the company's commitment towards delivering the project within the stipulated period, saying they will go above board and leave nothing to chance in ensuring the delivery of the Abuja light rail line come May 2024. Let's shift attention to security matters. Governor Hope Uzodinma has assured that killers of the joint security operatives at Iheme Umbano local government area of Imo State will be fished out and dealt with. He gave the assurance when he led heads of security agencies in the state to the scene of the incident. Faith Igolo reports.
Governor Uzodinma, while expressing sadness over the lives lost in the unfortunate incident, assured the public that those behind the Tuesday killings of the security operatives at Umalowako in Iheme Umbano will be smoked out and made to face the law. He, however, urged the leaders and people of the communities in the area to avail the government and security agencies of the vital information they need to do their work.
I'm very sad and I feel so hurt. It's a terrible situation where officers will come to protect, to work for us, and people will come from nowhere and just ambush them and take their lives. We are not God. We pray to God. God will take care of every situation. As human beings, we also do whatever we can to support the families while praying for God to give them the fortitude to bear the loss.
According to Imo State Police Command, about 5 members of the Joint Security Task Force that comprised of Army, Navy, Police, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, and Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps lost their lives in the attack suspected to be carried out by the members of indigenous people of Biafra from Umalowako in Iheme Umbano local government area of Imo State. I am Faith Igwilo, NTA News.
And Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, was thrown into mourning following the discovery of the lifeless body of a 27-year-old promising new media activist, Yusuf Mubarak, at Unity Road in Ilorin under mysterious circumstances. The deceased was initially declared missing on Wednesday, the 13th of September, before the lifeless body was later found. Aisha Abubakar Yaya tells us more.
Sky was cast over Ilorin following the mysterious disappearance of one of the promising youths in the Emirates, Mubarak Yusuf, throwing the family and associates into panic. The family and friends searched every nook and cranny to no result, but the body of Mubarak was later found at Unity Road with apparent signs of gunshots to his head and that of one other person. And this, according to the Kwara State Police Command, has raised suspicions and requires thorough investigation. This is Unity Road in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, and the particular spots where, according to the Kwara State Police Command, Mubarak Yusuf was shot and killed on the 16th of September.
There was a case of gunfire around the Unity area of Ilorin on Wednesday night. In the aftermath of the shooting, by the time the police got there, 2 dead bodies were found on the ground with a close shot of the heads of the 2 victims who are also suspected to be cultists, though we are still investigating that.
Then, a lot of questions are begging for answer with the way Abdullah Ibrahim, late Yusuf Mubarak's nephew, who lives in the same apartment with him, narrates how he got missing and his corpse was later to be found.
That very Wednesday night, around 9 o'clock, his father called him. Where are you? Are you not going to come home? He said that he will come very soon. In the next day, Where is Mubarak? Everybody started asking, where is Mubarak? He didn't come yesterday. So from there, they don't know where to locate him. So they went to the police station nearest, which is Adewale D division.
We lost him caught out of death. He's a kind of person that's struggling in life to survive, and he's struggling in life to meet up with his colleagues.
Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak has also demanded an immediate and thorough investigation into the cause of Mubarak's death from all security agencies in the state. The prayer on the lips of Mubarak's family and friends is for justice to prevail and for the culprits to face the full wrath of the law, as the Kwara State Police Command has also promised to get to the root of the matter. Until his death, Mubarak Yusuf was a student of Nasarawa State University, but at the same time, a new media practitioner and an entrepreneur. Aisha Abubakar Yahaya, NTA News.
How sad. We need to be more security conscious. Security is actually everybody's business. Now, talking housing, the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to reduce housing deficit and provide affordable and decent houses to Nigerians is already gaining grounds, with state governments keen into the initiative. This came to the fore during a courtesy visit by Katsina State Governor Diko Umar Rada on the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Musa Dangiwa, in Abuja. Francis Odojo has details.
The struggle to provide affordable and decent houses to Nigerians has been since independence, as successive governments have made passionate efforts through various instruments to reduce the continuous increase in housing deficit. President Bola Tinubu is determined to get over these challenges through the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. The visit of the governor of Katsina State is mainly to collaborate with the Minister of Housing and Urban Development as the state plans to develop its master plan.
So urban renewal is one of the major focus of our administration, and affordable housing. So we are seeking collaboration with the ministry to help us in achieving our goal of renewing our cities and towns in the state.
The Minister of Housing, Ahmed Musa Dangiwa, gives assurance of providing collaborative mechanism with Katsina and other state governments geared towards finding lasting solution to housing deficits in Nigeria.
We are committed to putting in the hard work necessary to break the jinx of failure and achieve historic success. We have outlined a series of housing reform initiatives in line with the renewed hope agenda for housing and urban development of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The minister equally reveals that the ministry plans to engage other stakeholders that can help in the realization of the nation's housing project as soon as possible. In Abuja, Francis Udojo, NTA News.
And we have cheering news from Katsina State. Barely a month ago, the story of a household in Katsina metropolis abandoned by their father who could not meet up with his parental responsibilities hit the airwaves. Today, the success story is that the abandoned and displaced family members are in their own apartments with enough food, courtesy the Katsina State government and good-spirited individuals who came to the rescue. Suleiman Kodogi, who has been monitoring the situation, has an update.
On the 21st of August, the report of a vulnerable family in Shagari low-cost area of Katsina abandoned by the father attracted the attention of well-meaning individuals and the Katsina State government. It was also gathered then that the landlord of the single-room apartment occupied by the said family served them with a quick notice to vacate his house for inability to pay 6 months' rent. Today, the narrative has changed for the better as the same family, a mother of 4, 25-year-old Adiza Abubakar from Kwara State now occupies a personal 3-bedroom apartment at the same area, living happily, courtesy of Katsina State government and other well-meaning individuals.
I want to sincerely appreciate the Katsina State government and other well-meaning individuals for coming to my aid. May the Almighty Allah reward you all immensely.
In addition to the house, Katsina State government has also taken up the responsibility of the family, including the education of the children, while Shagari Low-Cost Community Development Foundation, a non-governmental organization, is to monitor the activities of the family, especially the children.
They bought a house for her, and then we bought a NAPEP for her, so that her children would be very comfortable by taking them to school, to Islamia school.
State government already take care of their education. We already take them to school. Secondly, the issue of their health. They are already on government control. That is what we call, I think, health insurer.
The snag, however, is that of the father Abubakar from Kaduna State, whose whereabouts is still unknown, put a call through last 2 weeks, but said he cannot return to join his family for the fear of being arrested by the authorities. In Katsina, Suleiman Kodogi, NTA News.
Thank you, Suleiman, for the update. And remember, just be your brother's keeper, always. Now, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, urges media organizations to be objective while critiquing policies and programs of government. The SGF said this when he received a delegation of the Sun newspaper publishing company in his office.
The role the media play in deepening Nigeria's democracy, the SGF explained as critical. Therefore, practitioners should be accurate with their information.
What you write can make or tear our country. Once it becomes heavy, it's also controlled. No country can be great without the support of the press.
The SGF also pointed to some economic policies of the present administration aimed at restructuring the business environment to make it investment-friendly, and steps being taken by the federal government to cushion the impact of fuel subsidy removal, of which the media is also at liberty to interrogate.
And money has been sent to states and to other manufacturers of vehicles, so that CNG and electric vehicles would be in operation in large numbers in this country.
Meanwhile, the delegation from the Sun newspaper was at the SGF's office to present to him a copy of a compendium on the historical activities of Nigeria from the colonial era, for which an approval to embark on the publication was secured from the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation in 2020. Kenneth Nanem, NTA News.
Go ye into the world and preach the gospel, says the Holy Bible. In fulfillment of the vision, a group called the Voice of Evangelism International organized a quiz competition for adults, youth, and children. Omenka Amarachuko reports that the program, held in conjunction with the Christian Association of Nigeria, seeks to entrench God's word in the hearts of the people.
That beautiful rendition forms part of the activities marking the 2023 Champion of Champions National Bible Quiz Competition held among various Christian blocs in the country. The aim is to promote Christian virtues of intimacy with God, Bible knowledge, and godly character.
All the churches in this country, you must be of a block, PFN, CCN, OIC, just name them, Catholic block, Equa block. So there's always blocks organized. And the block started competition until the end of August. The champions from each block nationally emerged. So for them to get to this stage, they have already studied God's word. It's already flowing in them. That you can see what is happening in the hall. It's awesome.
So but, this will help us and broaden the knowledge of our children with the word of God and the Bible and the scriptures.
President Christian Association of Nigeria, Most Reverend Daniel Oko, says such competitions will always receive the organization's support and encouragement.
And we pray that the Lord will help us to sustain this kind of competition for the purpose of glorifying the name of God and for the purpose of expanding the kingdom.
I think we need to continue to pray for our leaders of CAN and encourage them. 1976, this body was born, and this body has continued to remain strong over the years. And I'm happy that our fathers, particularly those who are in charge here, and the rest of leadership of CAN, that you have continued to keep that vision alive.
Here comes the presentation of the 2023 Champion of Champions of the National Bible Quiz Competition.
It will help me to draw closer to God, because it's not just enough to know the word of God with your head. It's something that I have to also live the life that the Bible requires me to.
Gifts were also presented to some widows. In Abuja, Omeka Marchku, NTA News.
You're still watching News Extra on NTA. When we return after this break, business news will be up.
Welcome to business. Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission says a total sum of 5,244,636,561 naira 60 kobo has accrued into the Federation account for the period January to June 2023. The amount captured in the monthly report to the Federation Account Allocation Committee by the Central Bank of Nigeria has the sum of 627.3 billion naira as NNPC petroleum profit tax due. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission remitted the sum of 823.5 billion, while the Federal Inland Revenue Service made a gross collection of 3.6 trillion, but remitted 3.028 trillion, retaining the difference as cost of collection. The sum of 1.490 trillion was realized as value-added tax, while the sum of 83.024 billion was realized from the electronic money transfer levy, from which the sum of 3.3 billion was paid to FIRS as cost of collection. Now, meanwhile, Nigeria is said to have lost an estimated 16 trillion naira to oil theft in 11 years. These stakeholders say must be dealt with decisively by all culprits being brought to book, in addition to the full implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act.
It's transversed from community to community. Those leaders of those communities should also be engaged, so that they will protect our pipelines. When vessels are loaded, they must be escorted to reach their destinations. A lot of things must be done to safeguard the major data area and to make sure that even pollution, they protect them, the environment. If that is not done, what our target that we want will not be achieved.
And still talking energy, oil prices fell by more than $1 on Wednesday ahead of the U.S. Federal Reserve's interest rate decision, with investors uncertain when peak rates will be hit and how much of an impact it will have on energy demand. Global Brent crude futures fell $1.46 to $92.88 a barrel in early trade, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures shared $1.30 to $89.90 a barrel. The October WTI contract expires today, and a more active November contract was down $1.38 to $89.10 a barrel. Now a quick look at the markets. Nigerian equities closed in negative territory as equities retreated from a 3-day bullish run as investors lose at 13 billion naira. At the end of today's trading session on the exchange, a total of 566.6 million shares in 8,201 deals corresponding to a market value of 5.8 billion naira were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, Tuesday, today's data shows 16% decline in volume, 9% decline in turnover, but 7% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization is 37.4 trillion naira. Owando recorded the highest volume of traded shares, followed by Courtville, Business Solutions, and Charms, 56.4 million. Well, that is business news. News Extra continues after this break.
glad to know you're still there. For the objectives of the current administration to be achieved, improved budgetary allocation is key to addressing infrastructure deficits in the Niger Delta region. Proper monitoring and transparency in management of resources are also pivotal. This was the thrust of conversations by stakeholders at an advocacy discussed by Social Economics Right and Advocacy Project, SERAP. Hingino John Adams brings us details.
Our farmland have been polluted, water have polluted.
Tales capturing painful realities from the Niger Delta. Stories like this from a region that boasts of major contributions to national wealth are what prompted SERAP to beam its searchlight on the Niger Delta.
So here we have a community.
It recently conducted a survey which birthed a report titled, "We Are All Vulnerable: How Lack of Transparency and Accountability is Fueling Human Rights Violation in the Niger Delta." The report highlights some developmental challenges discovered during the study, including lack of water and hygiene, unemployment, absence or depletion of major infrastructure, lack of health care facilities, and environmental problems arising from pollution. All these set the tone for an interactive session on the way forward.
It should also be mandatory that companies in this region should submit and make public an independent sustainable development assessment.
The issue has always been the management of these funds. So it boils down to ensure that these funds are properly utilized and used for the benefit of those who stay in these communities.
Various social intervention programs were initiated in the Niger Delta region to address poverty, unemployment, as well as provide skills training, access to healthcare, and education for the region's residents.
Some of the recommendations by SERAP include needs assessment by relevant authorities, continuous collaboration with people of the region in determining projects to be undertaken, as well as advocacy by civil society organizations. It is expected that the report will attract speedy consideration and implementation by relevant stakeholders. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
Time to take our last break. We'll be right back. It's the News Extra. Gombe State government has taken the step to expose a wealth of investment opportunities to attract investors into the state. Emmanuel Akila reports that this is with the proposed investment promotion agency being discussed in a sensitization program for officials of ministries, departments, and agencies of government in the state.
The appropriate business atmosphere, which enables micro, small and medium enterprises to thrive in Gombe State over the years, is driving the state towards industrialization. And this cannot be achieved without the right institutions on ground.
I understand that the establishment of a state investment promotion agency holds paramount importance in advancing the economic landscape of our state.
The first Gombe State Investment Summit in 2022 gives impetus to the Muhammadu Buhari Industrial Park, an investment hub that would attract investors into the state.
The state has so many interests with different people and companies coming to want to invest, and it has become very essential that they now have an organization dedicated to meeting the needs of investors.
The participants are ready to prepare their ministries to accommodate and provide a level playing ground for investors that would come in to help grow the state economy.
We are living in a very peaceful atmosphere, and this is one of the factors that investors consider when they are coming to a particular state.
The sensitization program is expected to be followed by the Gombe State House of Assembly coming up with a law for the establishment of the Gombe State Investment Promotion Agency. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
And with that report, we end News Extra today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Do have a lovely night rest.